BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega cash and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
To Smith, Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got
it. We are here to Field Rockets News. This is a Rockets Field podcast presented by the Believe Network and sponsored by Bet Online. Of course, I'm your host, Ashar Binkley. You can always find me on Twitter at Binkley Hoops and my written work over at Rockets on SI, which is part of Sports Illustrated. Of course, today's breaking news is the contract extensions for both Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. For a while there, nobody was sure whether those deals were going to get done. Today was the deadline for 5 o'clock. It was getting closer and closer. Then we got the news, of course, first that Jalen Green signed his deal. And then we also got the news right before that 5 o'clock deadline that Alperen Sengun signed his contract extension as well. And I kind of want to break down how this is a benefit for everybody involved. This is a win-win-win for everyone, including the Houston Rockets. And I'm sure you're wondering, like, well, how is this also a win for the Rockets if they're taking away the cap flexibility? But if you really look at the contracts, you can kind of see how this works out for the Rockets. So I want to break down how this is, give a quick breakdown how this is a benefit for each party involved in these contract extensions. Like I said, the deadline was today. We had a flurry of players getting signed to contract extensions throughout the day. And then we finally started hearing news about the Rockets giving contract extensions to both Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. It's only fitting. They came in the league both in 2021. At this point, they are the two most important players as far as the Rockets this year and just as you see now going into the future. So it makes sense that the Rockets would get these deals done on the exact same day. And also it makes sense why they made the deals that they made. So let's get right into it, exactly why. And towards the end of the podcast, I'll tell you, kind of just give you my final thoughts and tell you how I think these contracts are going to play out when you're looking beyond this season further into these contracts. So let's start with why is a benefit for the Houston Rockets. If you're looking for from the Houston Rockets point of view, you got to take in consideration a couple of things. First, something I don't think a lot of people have really been talking about is this is Rafael Stone's first 2 people that he drafted. He came in towards the end of the James Harden era. Of course, his first major move was to trade James Harden and start the rebuild. But if you think about it, this is his first really major move when it comes to drafts. He didn't have to take Jalen. He could have took somebody else. He had options. So he really believed enough in Jalen and Alperen that these were the guys that were going to be the cornerstones of his rebuild, of his legacy. So even though he may never admit it, but that had to play some part in him giving these contracts out as well. Not to say they didn't deserve it, but you got to factor in all of this, that Rafael, any general manager that's making these deals, they're going to have they're going to feel some type of way about the players that they first brought in. If it was a player that had already been here and he kind of inherited them when he came in, he may not feel the same way. But these are guys that he researched, that he talked to, that he did all the scouting for. And the fact that now he can sign it to his extensions, that had to play a part in it. Also, if you're the Houston Rockets, both of these players are still extremely young. They're going to be extremely young when these contracts end. So if you're thinking from the Rockets' point of view, yes, you do give away some of your cap flexibility, but at the end of the day, now you're looking at is, hey, these guys are still young, and in 2 years we can sign Jalen to a max deal, and then in 4 years we can sign Alperen Sengun to a max deal if they play good enough to where that warrants them getting a max contract. You're not signing 30-year-old, 32-year-old players here that are already past their prime. These guys are just entering their prime, and they probably haven't even actually gotten close to their prime. A lot of players don't get to their prime till like 27, 28 years old, and these guys are in their early 20s. So if you're the Rockets, you're looking at it, hey, they took less money In Jalen's case, he may opt out after 2 years, so you can renegotiate even at that point. So if you're the Rockets, you're thinking, hey, yeah, we're going to take away our cap flexibility for next year, but now we're getting two up and coming young guys that they obviously really believe in, and we're getting them on less than max deals. So from your Rockets point of view, you're thinking, hey, these are guys I brought in. I can get them from a less than a max deal. They're willing to take less money. It makes sense for us. And something that, something else that kind of may play into this is not to say that the Rockets are going to be making trades, but you never know in the NBA. We see trades all the time. But if you're the Rockets, if you're trading with another team, a lot of times teams don't want to trade for a player that's, especially a young guy that's not going to be under contract past this year, or that you're going to have to renegotiate a contract with. So now you got these guys under contract. So if you do decide to make some big swing next year, especially in Jalen's case, you're not having to worry about, he's still going to be making close to what, let's say, for instance, a Devin Booker is making now. So now you're matching salaries. You don't have to give up several players to match his salary. So not to say that that's why they did this, but that's just something else to keep in mind. So if you're the Rockets, that's kind of two things that you're looking at. Like, this is the reason why we want to make these deals. And I think that's kind of played into a big part of this. Let's go to Jalen Green. If you're looking from Jalen Green point of view, yes, again, he taking less than max money next year. After his current deal runs out, the following year, he's going to be making $33 million a year, which of course is less than the max he could have got. But he's doing something that hasn't been done since Luka, when he first got his contract after his rookie deal. He's able to get a player option on a $30 million contract, something that most rookies never ever get. So if you're Jalen Green, that's why you take less money. Because now, after 2 years, you can renegotiate. And guess what? Now you can get your max money on a longer deal and make more money. So if you're Jalen Green, you're looking at it like that way, like, yes, I'm going to take less money up front, but now I give myself more flexibility. And when I'm up for another contract, I'm only going to be 25, 26 years old. So now Jalen Green is thinking, okay, yeah, I'll take less money up front, but guess what? In a few years, if I play to my potential, I'm going to be making a lot more money than I'll be making if I did try to take a max deal now. So if that's from Jalen Green's point of view, that's why he's probably taking less money. That's why he's willing to do it, because he's basically betting on himself that in 2 or 3 years, he's betting that he's going to be an all-star. He's going to be one of the top 20 or 30 players in the league, and now he's going to be able to negotiate for more money if it's with the Rockets. If it's not with the Rockets, because he won't become a restricted free agent. He'll be a non-restricted free agent. He'll be able to sign with whoever he wants to. So for the Rockets, he has a little bit of a risk. For Jalen Green, if you got all the confidence in the world yourself, I'm sure he does, you're betting that you're going to be able to make more money in a few years. Same thing kind of played out for Alperen Sengun. Is just on a longer term deal. He's taking a 5-year deal, and he's taking $185 million. So he's going to be making a little bit more money up front, $37 million a year. But he's also has a player option, something, again, that's rarely ever done, especially for rookies making this amount of money on their second contract. He has a player option after the 4th year. So he's kind of in the same boat, just kind of further out than what Jalen is. So again, he's looking at it the same way, that he's just still extremely young. He's only going to be in his mid-20s, entering his prime. And if he continues on the trajectory he's already at, he's going to be making max money on his next contract, or before his next contract is up. So him and Jalen are kind of, it's just amazing how they kind of correlate with each other throughout their careers. They both, like I said, came in the same draft. They're both expected to take the Rockets to the playoffs this year. And now they both got their contract extensions pretty much at the exact same time. I mean, I have to imagine that it was of course they have different agencies, different agents. They're not necessarily working together to get these contracts, but you have to imagine they say they have a really good relationship outside of the court. So you got to imagine they've been talking about this, and they want to stay together, and they want to kind of see at least the beginning of their careers through with the Houston Rockets. Like I said, we'll kind of see how it plays out afterwards. But again, if you're Alperen Sengun, you're able to get that player option, something that most rookies never ever get. If you look at some of these other deals, it's no player options in any of these other deals. So the Rockets, again, that's why it's kind of a win-win for the Rockets, for Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, because they all kind of get flexibility in this deal. So let's just say for some reason Jalen and Alperen don't work out and they don't get any better. I don't think that's going to be the case, but let's say that happens. Well, now the Rockets only got a 3-year deal with Jalen if he takes all 3 years. And same thing, they only have a 4 or 5 year deal with Alperen Sengun. And I have to imagine, even if Alperen Sengun doesn't get better than he is right now, he's still a really good player. So you still get 4 or 5 years of a really good player. And one more thing to kind of keep in mind is in a couple of years, it's going to be a new TV deal. So that's going to mean a bigger salary cap. That's going to mean more money. That means that players in a couple of years are going to be making a lot more money than Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun are getting, because once you get a new, bigger TV deal, that just means that it's more money for the teams. That just means the salary cap goes up. And now you're talking about salaries going up. So that's another reason why the Rockets are thinking, hey, let's go ahead and lock these guys in now. And so then, once these salary cap go up, we don't have to worry about, hey, paying somebody $40-50 million a year. I know that there's only a certain amount of money that they can pay rookies coming off of a rookie deal. But you have to keep that in mind. There's going to be more money coming down the pipeline in the NBA, coming up in the next 2 or 3 years with this new TV deal. So that's something else to keep in mind. But the way I feel that these contracts are going to work out, I think that Jalen will probably opt out after 2 years, because I think he is going to get better. And then the Rockets are going to work out another deal with Jalen to where he's getting max money on a longer deal. And the same thing with Alperen. I think that Alperen is just going to be at the 4-year mark. He's going to be probably one of the top 10 or 15 players in the league. So he's definitely going to command max money on his next deal. So that's why I see this is a win-win-win all the way around for everybody involved. Now that Jalen and Alperen don't have the pressure of having to deal with not having a contract, and now possibly getting going into next year and having the Rockets pick up their player options for next year, and they feel like they're getting underpaid. Because they may never say it, but you have to imagine that's pressure on them. They may look at the organization different, like, man, they don't really, appreciate what I'm bringing to the team. That can cause animosity. No matter how great of a team player you are, at the end of the day, they're in the league. They're expecting they should be making a certain amount of money. So this kind of takes away a lot of that, and now they can really focus on just playing basketball. And if you're the Rockets, you don't have to deal with this all year long here. Hey, why didn't you sign Jalen and Alperen to this? Or, well, now maybe you should trade one of them, because you may have to try to match their deals next year, and then you have to deal with contract negotiations after another year of you not giving them an extension. So like I said, now you kind of take that pressure off. And also, if you didn't sign one of them and you signed the other, then also that's causing conflict, because let's say, for instance, they had just signed Jalen and they didn't sign Alperen, guess what we're going to be hearing all year long? We're going to be hearing every time Jalen had a bad game, well, see, that's why you should have signed Alperen, or vice versa. So now you don't have to deal with any of that. Now they can focus on basketball. Now they can focus on trying to get to the playoffs for the first time in the last several seasons. So that's how I kind of think the contracts are going to play out. I think that both are going to outplay their current contracts. Funny enough, I know it may be hard to believe for some people that are not Jalen fans, but I think eventually they'll get to the point where they'll be making max money. And I think that's eventually what's going to happen between the Rockets, Jalen, and Alperen in the next few years. So now the Rockets can focus on getting to the playoffs. We know the season starts Wednesday. Tomorrow we have our regularly scheduled podcast that we're going to have. We're going to be giving our predictions on how we think this upcoming season is going to be, is going to play out as far as how many wins the Rockets are going to have. We're also going to talk about who we think are going to be the leading scorer, leading rebounder, kind of some of the leaders in the major categories for the Rockets. But definitely want to get this podcast out because this was breaking news, and a lot of people did not think that the Rockets would sign either one of them, let alone both of them, to contract extension. So definitely want to get it out. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of each extension? Do you think the Rockets overpaid? Do you think that were you surprised that they signed one or the other, or that they signed both? Let me know your feelings down in the comments. Definitely want to hear from you, and I definitely try to respond to every single comment. And also definitely let me know how are you feeling going into the season. Like I said, the season starts Wednesday against Charlotte at home. Let me know how you feel about that. We'll definitely talk about more about that tomorrow. And as usual, we appreciate the people that subscribe to the channel, people that like it, people that follow us. Definitely make sure that you are commenting, that you're liking the video, because that definitely helps with the algorithm so more people can see it. And if you're not a subscriber, first off, welcome to the channel. And second, please subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you'll know every time that video drops, because I do more than just podcasts. I also go out to the games and have the pre and post game, and I also go out to practices and have that as well. One of the few channels out there that brings you exclusive content like that, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as usual, I appreciate all the support, and make sure you check out the next episode of Rockets Fuel Podcast.